Yo, what up YouTube? My name is Nishantha, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to hack dyslexia and ADHD. Let's create a superhuman productivity and organization system. So I've been putting off making this video for a few days now because some of the things I talk about in this video I've never shared with anyone else, and for some reason that makes me feel incredibly vulnerable. But one of my goals for this year is to do things that scare me. So here we go. I've never really been able to follow through on my goals, but that's because I've always tried to do things like normal people. The problem is my brain isn't wired like normal people. I have ADHD and dyslexia, so my brain isn't optimized to do the work like they do. People like us need to pursue our goals using different paradigms and systems. So I've been looking for a system that would work for someone like me, but I couldn't find one. So at the beginning of last year, I started developing my own system to help me be more productive. So as each piece of the puzzle started coming together, I saw dramatic improvements in my life. 2016 was probably the most productive I've ever been. I saw dramatic improvements in my personal life as well as my career. I made huge leaps and bounds in the growth of my career. I met the love of my life. I bought my first house, and in 5 weeks, our daughter's gonna be here. And that's the best news of them all. Hey.
Hi.
This is our second date. Check this out.
You drove me out of the breath.
Hey! Hey everybody! Hey everybody. About to walk into my house.
Let's go. Look how pretty the sky is in the background. It's like we live in like a movie land.
My beard is like really big right now.
My hair's pretty big. It's been a long day.
You wanna open it?
Yeah. Wait, it's this way right now, Mom?
She's opening the door.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here's our new house. It's so bright right here.
Boom.
Boom.
Come in here.
There's stuff everywhere.
Boom. It's a girl.
I'm not telling you.
It's a girl? It's a girl?
Uh-huh.
I knew it. Some of this happened because we've been blessed and we're lucky. But some of it was because of the systems I designed and I use in my life now. That's the reason I want to share this video with you guys. I hope that systems like this can help you too. Okay, so let's jump into the theoretical framework that I based all this on. So I've come to believe that there's 3 reasons why people like me struggle to accomplish their goals. The Post-it system addresses all of these. Disorganization is the first reason we struggle. One of the most negative life impacting issues that adults with ADHD struggle with is a chronic lack of organization in their life. I think the mechanism for this organization might be the combination of our predisposition for impulsive behavior, our general state of inattentiveness, our tendency to procrastinate, and our tendency to seek novel stimulation. In the Post-it system, we fight disorganization by creating a really solid structure. So anxiety is the second reason why people with ADHD struggle to accomplish their goals. So about 40% of adults with ADHD have issues and struggles with anxiety as well. In my case, I struggle with anxiety around the subject of personal success and failure. I have difficulties starting and sticking with a project until their completion because I have subconscious fears. So subconsciously, I believe that bad things will happen to me if I fail. So to avoid that, I sometimes don't start and don't finish things that I really want and things that will help me in my life. So a solution that I found that kind of addresses this is something that the author Tim Ferriss calls fear setting. This is kind of how it works. Okay, step number 1, write down the goal or project that you really want to work on and get done. Number 2, write down all the ways that this project or goal could go wrong. Get really specific, get hyper specific, come up with details and examples of how this project could go awry. Step number 3, take those negative outcomes and write down ways for you to minimize them. Get detailed and come up with examples and be very specific as well. Step number 4, come up with the steps that you can take to get back to where you are right now if those bad scenarios were to happen. Doing this exercise will make you realize that most bad negative scenarios when you're doing a project is not that bad, first of all. Second, it's highly unlikely. And third of all, in most cases, almost in all cases, they're completely reversible. So doing this exercise helps me kind of calm down my ADHD brain and helps me to kind of get rid of that fear that always holds me back from completing and starting projects.
Setting exercise, that's what I call it, just like goal setting. When you get really specific on your fears, you rob them of their power.
So a lack of confidence is the third reason why people like us struggle to accomplish our goals. So people with ADHD and dyslexia tend to struggle early on in life because we don't typically do well in middle school and elementary school. This can slow down the development of our confidence, and later on as adults we may have issues and struggles with self-esteem. I personally struggled with low self-confidence until about my mid-20s. I had this narrative history in my head of not being able to do things as well as other kids. So that really affected my self-confidence and self-esteem. Confidence is not something that people are born with. Confidence is something people develop over their lifetime. Confidence is a skill. Confidence is the skill of reliably being able to take ideas and produce results out of them. So our confidence grows as our brain starts to get used to having its ideas become reality. So check out this clip of Conor Mcgregor. I think it's really cool and it illustrates this point perfectly.
Now that you've achieved it, give us an idea of what the emotion is like.
Look, it feels great. It feels familiar. I saw it so clearly. I swear to God, I saw it so clearly, so consistently, until it's here in reality. I'm very confident in my abilities and what I'm predicting I'm going to do, and I back it up. I back it up with work ethic. I back it up with hours upon hours of time and dedication. I never slip. I never take a second off this game. So I'm very satisfied, very grateful, very happy, but not surprised. You know?
So the POSIS system is designed to continuously grow your confidence. And as your confidence grows, you can progressively upgrade the goals you have. You can make them bigger and better and have the confidence to be able to accomplish them too. So people with neurotypical brains don't need to necessarily create complex structured systems to get things done. They just kind of start a task and they complete it until it's done. Work in an ordinary unstructured way is really bad for us. It creates inefficiencies in the way we process information. So in order for us to work efficiently, we need to create systems that take advantage of our ADHD and dyslexic superpowers. We need to create systems where we can tap into our innate ADHD energy reserves and our ability to hyperfocus. Alright, so we need to tap into our dyslexic narrative reasoning strengths. We need to create a compelling vision and a mission for our lives and connect that vision to our goals. This is the best way that I found to give context and meaning to the work that we do. So I use a 3-step system, and at each step I'm trying to take advantage of and optimize my ADHD and dyslexic strengths. So here's how the process works. I have 3 whiteboards in my office, and I use these to asynchronously process my tasks. With the completion of each task, I'll make progress towards my overall goals for the year. Whiteboard 1, ideas. For dyslexics like me, content cannot happen without context. We need to know why we gotta do something before we can even think about what that thing is and how we're gonna do it. So before we do anything, we gotta figure out the reasons for why we're doing it. So dyslexics have incredible narrative and dynamic reasoning skills. Narrative thinking is a way of thinking about ideas and concepts through stories and analogies. So dynamic reasoning is a way of thinking where we can take several concepts or ideas and predict how they would interact with each other really accurately. So as dyslexic, we really need to take advantage of those powerful skills when we make goals and create projects for ourselves. We have to use strategic long-term goal setting to create compelling visions for what we want to accomplish. That's why the first step of this system is to create a compelling mission and a vision for your life. Each year, I create goals for myself around the subjects of health, wealth, wisdom, and relationships. So the first week of January, I develop and write out all the goals I want to accomplish for that year. When I'm writing my goals, I visualize myself a year from now having already accomplished those goals. In my head, I play the story of my life a year from now. I try to feel it emotionally, and then I capture that emotional state so I can use it later on as fuel. So the second part of this whiteboard is for me to capture ideas that will generally move me towards my goals. I do this by using post-it notes and a composition journal. Whenever I get an idea that can help me with my goals, I write on it and I post it on my first whiteboard. If the idea is pretty complex, then I also use my composition journal to write down the details. So when my first whiteboard gets filled with post-it notes, I process them all at once. So the way to do it is to take each note and compare it against my written goals for the year. If my note helps me move towards my goals for the year, then it goes on to the next whiteboard. If it doesn't, then I just toss it. Whiteboard 2 is called planning. Whiteboard 2 is divided into 4 sections. I use this whiteboard to process and refine my ideas. As I make progress refining the idea, the post-it moves from one side of the whiteboard to the other side step by step. Section 1 of my second whiteboard is called the inbox. In the inbox section, I try to create actionable tasks for each post-it note. If I can't take action on a post-it note or an idea, then I just toss that. If an idea is not actionable, at this point, it's pretty much worthless to me. So I just toss it. Section 2 of this whiteboard is called marinate. And in this section, I just take those actionable ideas from the post-it note and I just let them kind of marinate in my head to see what my brain does with these ideas. So in this step, I'm kind of figuring out the best way that I can get this actionable steps done. And usually the first way is not the best way, so letting it marinate for a while is pretty chill. And if I can't find a solution within a couple of days, that probably means that the action step is probably not the best action step. So I either move that post-it back to the previous section or I just toss it. The reason why I do this is because ideas are really cheap. The thing that matters is implementation and getting it done. And if it's a bad idea, you shouldn't implement it. You shouldn't really work on it. There's so many other things to be doing. So in the marination section of the whiteboard, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to visualize the process that I would use to complete that idea or produce something from that idea. If I can't visualize something, I'm not gonna be able to move it to the next section. That post-it will probably stay in marination, or I'll just move it onto the move it back to the inbox, or I'll toss it. Because at this point, I'm just working on really good ideas that I know how to implement really well. So the third section in the second whiteboard is called organize. And in this step, what I try to do is I try to write down the process that I came up with in the previous step to execute this idea. For this section, I'm writing down all the details that I need to execute this idea. For this step, I use a single piece of grid paper to write down my plan on how I'm gonna get this done. So at this point, I haven't really invested that much time or effort into this idea. So at any point, I'm willing to toss it if it doesn't look like it's going to be a good way to go about achieving my goals. So the next section is called Ready to Go. And in this section, ideas are just waiting to be put onto my third and final whiteboard. I take the post-it note, the single page plan, and sometimes I even create a Google spreadsheet with action steps, and I just sit on it until my schedule opens up in my third whiteboard. All right, so we're at the last whiteboard. This whiteboard is called Do Deep Work. So whiteboard 3 is a weekly calendar with 7 rows, 1 row for each day of the week. At the top of each row, there's a box, and it's the size of exactly 1 post-it note. The most important task for the day goes into that box, and I try to get that task done before all else. So as my calendar in my third whiteboard opens up, I take the ready to go post-its and I put them into the days that I think will be the best to get those tasks done. So as the week progresses, I block out the time and I complete the tasks that I have on the weekly calendar. This step is the most important and crucial step. In this step, we become alchemists. In this step, we take electrochemical signals and we transform them into atoms and bits. Everything we've done so far was to make this step a bit easier. So I like to think of Whiteboard 1 and Whiteboard 2 as the scaffolding that we need to complete this step. The work we're doing in this step is called deep work. Deep work is the type of work that requires the ability to focus on a cognitively demanding task without any other distractions. It is a skill that allows you to master complicated information and produce better work in less time. In other words, deep work is kind of like a superpower that only a few people have because everyone else is distracted and they don't develop this skill. So doing deep work is a skill, so it'll get easier with time and practice. I've experimented with a lot of different strategies while learning how to do deep work. Here's a few that have worked for me. Number 1, create an area where you are doing your deep work. Keep that area clean. Treat it as if it was sacred. For me, my office is a sacred space. I only use my office to do deep work, learn, meditate, journal, and shoot YouTube videos. I don't use it for any other purposes. Number 2, precondition deep work with Pavlovian sensory associations. Create and associate sense memory with deep work. One way I do that is I associate the sound of rain with deep work, and the strategy I use to do that is I play this 10-hour long loop of heavy rain on YouTube while I'm in my office doing any kind of work. I think this gets me in the state to work harder. Alright, deep work tip number 3, use rituals on deep work days. Sundays are usually my deep work days, and on these days I create a special ritual that is outside my normal ritual, and I feel like this really helps me get into the deep work mode. So here's my Sunday routine. I set my alarm kind of early, and I do my normal everyday routine, which is brush my teeth, journal, meditate, and jump in the shower until I jump out of the shower. After I get out of the shower and I get dressed in sweatpants and sweatshirt, usually this one, I kind of think of it as my superhero costume for when I'm doing deep work. Immediately after getting dressed, I go into my office, I turn on all of the equipment and computers and programs I need to execute my plan, and I pull out my one-pager for the specific task I'm doing. And then I leave my house. I take one of the dogs with me, and we go for a 10 to 15 minute drive somewhere to maybe pick up some coffee or something. And on my drive, I go through all the steps that I need to do that day to complete my task. This mental walkthrough is a process that's called winning in your mind. I first learned about this in a book called Unbeatable Mind, written by the Navy SEAL commander Mark Devine. He says that every battle must first be won in your mind before it can be won in the physical world. I like that. It's a cool idea.
And now I call that process winning in your mind before you enter the battle. And that comes from a famous Sun Tzu quote. Sun Tzu is the Art of War author, right? Several thousand years ago. He said, victorious warriors win in their mind and then they go to the battlefield. Losers go to the battlefield and seek to win.
After I get home from the drive, I go to my office, close the door, turn on my desk lamp, turn on my cabinet lamp, and just get to work. Number 4, sacrifice and grand gestures. On deep work days, I don't eat until 8 or 9 at night. Fasting is an ancient spiritual practice of faith, and when I'm doing deep work, I try to tap into that. Fasting is a physical reminder that the work I'm doing is not trivial, and it has a deeper meaning to the purpose of my life. Just a side note, this part might not be for everyone. I like to do it because I feel like I have more energy and my work seems to go easier when I'm not eating. But that's it's up to you. As I finish and complete my tasks off the calendar, I take the post-it note and I move it to the done section of the whiteboard. I also print out any digital material that I made, and then I put it into that box right over there, and I keep it as a reminder of all the cool things I've done. And this kind of helps me build confidence because that thing gets full by the end of the year, and I can just measure it and take pride in that, and I don't know, it feels cool, it feels awesome. Moving a post-it note from my calendar to the done section and then filing to that drawer over there feels really good. There's a sense of accomplishment, and there's really no other feeling that I get now than when I'm actually completing something that I care about. Yeah, it just feels really awesome and amazing. So basically, since we have a structure, we have a vision for our lives, and what we do have a purpose, This system, if you do it correctly, it will help you build your momentum and confidence, and eventually, with some practice, it should turn you into a superhuman, productive machine that is capable of doing whatever you want to do. So that's the system I use to get things done and be more productive as a person with ADHD and dyslexia. Important note, I don't always go through the whole process for all of these post-it notes. Sometimes it's like clean the cat litter. I don't need a process to do that. I just put it on one of my opening slots. I gotta do it once a week, so I just go ahead and do that whenever I have some time. So you don't have to do the post-it note process for everything in life, but just the things that are complicated or that you need more structure to do. Some post-its are not requiring deep work, and for those types of processes where I don't 100% have to be engaged, I can just do those while I'm listening to an audiobook or something. So if I have to change the cat litter or something like that, I also put that on my schedule if there's an opening, but I put it on the lower level so I know it's not that important and I don't have to waste my time really thinking about this stuff. I just kind of do it on automatic while listening to a podcast or audiobook or something. Give this a try. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll answer them. Also, if you guys have any systems that you guys use to organize your life, or any tips that you might think will help me with my system, please leave that below as well. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.